Just want to review a little bit with you about this model. So this is the value proposition canvas, and we talked about this before as well. So remember, this is your community, and you're trying to kind of gather or create like a profile of the people that you're working with. And so they're using the word jobs, but it doesn't mean occupations. These could be functional, these could be emotional, these could be social. In some ways, it's kind of like thinking about things that people want to accomplish or do. And so with any job, there are certain gains or pains. So these are positive things about the experience, things that people enjoy, or annoyances, challenges associated with that job. And so how do you figure out or find out about these jobs, gains, and pains? Well, that's where we do this community mapping process. So we talked a bit about the compass model and using that. And part of the reason for that is that it's supposed to help us to develop these deep insights, which really is asking this question of what is life like? And what you're going to be doing is, you're going to fill out a big table that helps to capture these things. But hopefully you're able to introduce the community to the assessors. You're also going to be able to identify those pain points, or like the jobs and in particular the pains, but also the gains that people are experiencing with this. And this is also a place where you're kind of gathering or collecting the evidence for this need or this pain point that you've identified. And then it should also, all of this data that you collect should also impact your strategy. And so once we understand the jobs that people have and the pains and gains, then we're able to begin to consider how we're going to create a product, service, system, or space that will have gain creators or pain relievers. And so part of this process is going to involve turning that problem into a how might I question. And so at this point, you don't know what you are solving. You are simply asking the question, well, how might I actually do this? What could that possibly look like? And then through that process, you're going to then do some research. We want our projects to be based on research. So these could be examples to follow. So were there other researchers that actually studied the same thing and you could maybe replicate their process? Or is there another really good example that you found online that maybe or in real life that you're able to take pictures of? You're gonna say, hey, this is a good successful example. Sometimes it is knowledge that we need to find, knowledge on how to do something. Sometimes this is also a theory or a process that we want to follow and we want to leverage. So that could be how do you actually persuade someone to do something different? How do you help people to create new habits or change the habits that they have? Things like that. And then the last piece here with our strategy is collaborating with the community. So it's really important to ask the question, hey, do you think this is actually going to work? And you're also going to be considering, does my potential strategy, does it actually align or does it fit with these gains and pains that I'm understanding from my community mapping process? And so with that, we've then also need to maybe consider planning for prototypes. So it may be that we're not going to have the prototype right now and we're not going to be putting that into our proposal, but I'm going to plan to have several iterations or versions of this so that I can best create something that actually will relieve pains and create gains. All right, so then the last step of our capstone process is really measurement. All right, and so this is where we're really trying to make sure and kind of prove that whatever we were able to create actually does fit with the community. All right, and so the big question you're answering is, how do you know if you were successful? All right, and so to start off the process, we start with something called our critical success factor. All right, and so really this just flips the how might I question, and it's still a single sentence. It really just changes the tense of the question, and it really you just use the exact same words as your how might I question. And it really helps to highlight your primary variable. So what is the single thing that you are trying to say that you were able to accomplish? All right, and so really we do this by comparing data from before versus after, and these are your outcomes. All right, so before I did my project, these are like the list of things that help to kind of prove that I have this problem. This is how I know that there is an issue that I want to solve, and it comes from your community map, all right? And then after, this is post or after your project, these are the pieces of data that prove that I've now achieved my critical success factor. I have made a change with that variable. So that is the value proposition and how this model really aligns with our Capstone project.